Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another edition of Dragon Ball Super Reviews, which I'm going to be reviewing Dragon Ball Super Episode 36, and then giving my predictions for Episode 37. Well, a lot of stuff happened on Episode 36 this week, so let's get right into it. So basically, everything left off the same way that it ended in the previous episode, and we start off with seeing Vegeta versus Magetta, and the entire arena, or the entire ring that they're in, is being filled with heat and steam. And at this point in time, we see that Whis and Beerus are actually contemplating and discussing what's going on in the ring, and how Magetta is letting out a lot of steam seemingly as a part of his strategy to get to Vegeta. At this point in time, Beerus actually suggests to Champa that he put up the barrier on purpose so that he could keep all of the heat in to help Magetta. But Champa does of course point out that there are vents at the bottom of the ring, but that doesn't really seem to be helping Vegeta much in this fight. But during this fight itself, there are some really cool moments, so I'll go through them real quick. For example, there is a point in which Magetta is spraying out flammable gas out of the top of his head, and then he shoots a fire blast, seemingly, from Pokemon into it, which actually blows up and nearly sends Vegeta into the barrier. After this point in time, Vegeta just seems to have had it, and he actually charges up the Gallic Gun, something we haven't seen in Dragon Ball in a very long time. And as he does this in a very DBZ style moment, Magetta also charges up his own body and his own attack, creating even more heat. Vegeta fires the Gallic Gun, but it hits Magetta, and again it does nothing, showing that this guy is just ridiculously durable. And then he fires his own attack, Magetta does, towards Vegeta, which actually overpowers Vegeta's attack and somehow creates some kind of rock club. He then fires another Fire Blast looking attack at Vegeta, but Vegeta chops right through it, but Magetta used it as a part of a distraction so that he could grab that club and knock Vegeta down to the ground outside of the ring. And there was actually a pretty cool moment in this in which Vegeta seemed like he actually had lost to Magetta, and it was very shocking to myself and everyone else who was watching this episode, but in a very interesting turn of events, it appears that there actually was a small piece of the ring outside on the ground, and Vegeta actually landed on it with that 1 foot that he landed on the ground. Thus, the referee came down and said that Vegeta was not out of the ring and was able to continue. But Vegeta, of course, being a fighting genius and knowing the situation with the heat which was affecting him, he actually powered up his energy above the ring to such heights that it actually shattered the ring all around him. And it was a really awesome scene. It was actually cool because shards shot out all over the place, and Hit actually caught a very large one between two of his fingers nonchalantly, and Monaka was actually surrounded by shards all throughout the couch that he was sitting on, but he was still within that unconscious trance. But after this point in time, Vegeta just said enough is enough and started to charge up the final flash against Magetta. And again, another DBZ moment, Magetta charges up his own attack and his own body as well. Vegeta finally gets that final flash done and fires it at Magetta, and Magetta actually fires his own blast as well, but the blast doesn't really do anything as it's completely overpowered. However, with this time Vegeta's final flash overpowering Magetta. However, in this case, Magetta still basically takes this blast head on. But Vegeta, similar to what Magetta did earlier, uses the blast as a distraction to come up to Magetta and hit him at full force in the arms, shattering the ring below him and pushing him out of the ring, giving Vegeta the win. So overall, when it comes to this actual fight, I thought it was really awesome. The fact that it went on for more than one episode, and it was a really epic fight that had a lot of really great moments. At multiple times, it seemed like Vegeta was totally beaten by Magetta. It seemed like nothing could stop this guy. And honestly, considering he was still perfectly fine after the fight was over, I feel like this is another example of a Champa fighter who would just be completely OP and overpowered outside of a tournament setting, and who would probably give the Z fighters a lot of trouble. For example, Botamo, who seems pretty much invulnerable, and now Magetta doesn't seem to be hurt by anything that Vegeta has done to him thus far. But after this point in time, Vegeta went up to Beerus and the team and was starting to talk to Goku, but then we flashed over to see that Magetta was crying. And as Whis explained, Vegeta called Magetta a piece of junk at the end of the fight, and thus he was crying as a result of the insult, and Whis further elaborated that the metal men, if they are insulted, cannot continue to fight, and that's basically their overall weakness. Beerus naturally yelled at Whis because he didn't include such information, but Goku said that it was better that they didn't know because the fight would have been more boring as a result. But then Goku looks again over to Hit as he did earlier in the tournament, and sees that Hit seems to be again sleeping and not really caring about anything that he's seen on display so far, and Vegeta and Goku talk about him briefly before we actually see something big happen, as Cave or Kaba steps up ready to enter the tournament and ready to fight on his own. And with that, the episode was over. So essentially, everything that I thought would happen happened in this episode. I figured that the fight between Vegeta and Magetta would end in this episode, and I thought for sure that Vegeta was going to come out the victor in the end. Now, I did think that perhaps Vegeta would have to turn into a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue in order to actually defeat Magetta, but it was actually pretty interesting to see how he inevitably did it by knocking him out of the ring after using the Final Flash seemingly just as a distraction as Magetta had done earlier in the fight with that club. Although again, I really do like Magetta and what he's been doing thus far, and I'm really liking everything that Super is doing right now as an actual whole. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the animation has been much better recently, especially in the past 2 episodes. The music has been good, and the action definitely has been good as well. This past fight really felt like a Dragon Ball Z or a Dragon Ball fight at this point in the franchise, so it was really nice to actually see this happen on the screen. And for the first time since the beginning of the Saiyan arc, we are going to be seeing Vegeta or a main character versus a completely new Saiyan with his own powers, with his own power level, and it's going to be really cool to see this happen. And of course, I'm not counting the movies with Broly or Tarbor or any of that stuff. So I can't wait to see exactly what is going to happen between Vegeta and him in the next coming episode, but we don't have to wait too long to hear what I think is going to happen, because now let's get in my predictions. So in my predictions for the next coming episode, as we see in this next episode preview, Vegeta and Kaba, or Kaib, or whatever the hell his name is supposed to be called at this point in time, because it seems like that seems to be a confusion among everyone in the community, are going at it in the ring. And as we actually see, Vegeta is a Super Saiyan, but in a surprising turn of events, it seems that Cobb is actually a Super Saiyan as well. Now, up until this point in time, we seem to be under the impression that he couldn't transform at all, and he didn't even know what Super Saiyan was when he saw Vegeta turn into it. So this could either mean that in the next coming episode, he's either lying and he really does go Super Saiyan and he always had it all along, or through his fight and through this struggle with Vegeta, he transforms into a Super Saiyan. But the way that we're seeing him do it in this preview seems to kind of imply that perhaps he's already done it in the past, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see how it happens. But to see that glory shot at the very end, Vegeta turns into a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, probably because he was pushed to such extremes by the power of Cabe after he turned into a Super Saiyan, and so he decided to go all out to his ultimate form. And for my predictions, I can only see this ending one way, and that is the overwhelming power of the God form taking out Cobb in the end. So I have to say that I think that it's probably likely that Vegeta is going to win this next coming fight, and likely in the next episode if he does transform sometime before the very end, as an actual end shot of that episode. It'd be nice to have seen this fight play out over the course of more than one episode, but that doesn't seem very likely considering the pace that we've seen so far in this tournament, so I kind of feel that Vegeta is going to be Cobb in the next coming episode, and maybe at the end of that episode, Hit is going to step up for the final fight of this tournament, or at least the final round. But considering the fact that Vegeta is pushing himself so hard over the course of these fights, I don't really think that he's going to win against Hit, and I feel like I don't know if Goku's going to either. It comes down to either Goku or Monaka, and I still feel like I'm on the fence whether or not Monaka is actually a ruse, and he actually is ultra powerful and more powerful than anyone we've seen in the series up until this point, except for maybe Beerus and Whis, or perhaps he's actually just a joke, and Goku is last best hope for this actual team. So we're going to have to wait and see, but overall, this has been another edition of Dragon Ball Super Reviews. Tell me your own thoughts down below. Do you agree with me or do you disagree? I'd be kind of interested to hear what you have to say in terms of disagreeing, because I thought this episode was great. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
So let me get this straight, the absolute apex of the Saiyan race in the middle of the ring is supposed to be a bunch of manlets, one that is even scrawnier than the other and one that's even shorter. This is a bunch of bullshit. Whatever happened to the big, strong, muscular Saiyans like the Nappa, and even to a lesser extent the Broly? I'm getting sick and tired of this CrossFit manlet and Vegeta, and this tiny Taba lookalike and Cobb, whatever the hell his name is, in the middle of this ring. But no, it's just supposed to sit back and sit there while these scrawny little midgets actually go at one another, and then they shake the little planets and blow up the little universes. Well, I do that just when I flex my biceps at 20%, and that's when I'm not even trying. Hey Champa, even though I think you're a fat piece of shit, because you are, next time you want to put a team together, just get rid of the 4 other jobbers and put me in there. That way I can casually beat everyone to death one-on-one. Although realistically, I would prefer it if they put all 5 in there, and then they could bring Beerus and Whis as well. I got to get some kind of warm-up to my workout routine. But you could keep the gold in that shiny little big Strax. The only thing that I want is Sarah Connor. I will terminate you in time with my dick. Why are you still listening to this? Go lift some weights. I'm the Angry Austrian, and I'll be back.
And you better subscribe!